All right, folks. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We got a few more people that will be joining on here over the next couple of minutes, but we have an amazing panel today. We'll be talking about some of the financial assistance that's available here in the Black Hills and some of the work that's being done here in the Black Hills over the last couple of weeks. So if you have questions about financial assistance, or if you want to know how to help here in the Black Hills, we got the group to talk to about this. We're going to go ahead and go right down the line here and get started. What I want to do is just get a brief introduction from each of you about who you are and who you're representing. And Bonnie, we'll start with you.
Good morning. I'm Bonnie Spain with Consumer Credit Counseling Service of the Black Hills. We are a HUD-approved housing counseling agency and a United Way agency. We know this is a very stressful time for people and finances can be overwhelming, and we're here to help. We help individuals deal with financial crises throughout the year, 52 weeks a year, and it's our specialty. The best money advice is always personal, and to contact us and talk to one of our counselors is free of charge.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you, Bonnie, for that. Jamie, we'll go right with you.
Hi, I'm Jamie Toennies, Executive Director for United Way of the Black Hills. We've been serving the Black Hills community for 75 years now. And of course, we are here and doing all we can to help support our community during the coronavirus pandemic through our COVID response fund, but also just through our network and working together to make sure that we are helping do all we can to meet the needs of our community.
Awesome. Thanks, Jamie. All right, Brenda, what's going on?
Hello, I'm Brenda Dahlke from Pennington County Health and Human Services. And we help Pennington County residents with a variety of things: rent, utilities, medical needs. Like Bonnie, we exist throughout the year as well, not just for the COVID emergency, but we're here to help and get people through this.
Awesome, Brenda. Thank you so much. David, we'll go with you.
Hi, I'm David Barnes, the Executive Director at Western South Dakota Community Action Agency. We assist low-income people not only here in Pennington, but in 13 other counties that we serve on the western side of the state with a lot of low-income programming. Some of them are financial program, a lot of them are food and commodities. We assist HHS sometimes with funding, also with some of their rental applications with people. So we do a multiple of things to help get people out of poverty.
David, thank you. And Tara, we'll go with you.
Yes, I'm Tara Wilcox with Volunteers of America, and we have 3 core services. Our first being our veteran services. So we have case management support for housing retention and financial assistance that is available to those veterans through the South Dakota Housing Authority. We also have a veteran outreach center, which any veteran can come and utilize for laundry services and for just personal hygiene. We have showers available and snacks and hot coffee all day long. In addition to that, we have HIV health services, which has case management with emergency assistance involved, and then also homeless services. And there we are the home to the Black Hills Regional Homeless Coalition. And we are also working with the South Dakota Housing Development Authority to get more housing assistance funding West River.
Tara, awesome. Thank you so much. We already have questions coming in from our Facebook panel here. Let me see if I can get this looked at here. What's the amount of hours people can work and still qualify for unemployment benefits? Let's see. So I don't know if there's anyone in this panel who'd be able to answer that question. If anyone wants to step in with that one.
I don't know for sure if there is a number of hours. With none of us being from the Department of Labor, it's difficult to say for sure, but I think for our office, we're definitely suggesting folks apply. A lot of, the rules have changed temporarily due to the situation. So folks that are self-employed, contractors, folks that have had a reduction in hours, it's all worth it to apply. You can do that online. That seems to be the quickest way. You can call them if you'd like to get information as well. But if people can just check online, the Department of Labor, Reemployment Assistance, as it's called now.
Brenda, thank you. That was Brenda with Pennington County Health and Human Services. So want to reach out to the Department of Labor for those questions. And even if we might not have the answer right here in this panel, we probably have someone in here who knows the right direction to go. So we'll go ahead and kind of cover that. So I did want to go ahead and kind of gloss over a little bit kind of some of the new challenges that we've seen over the last couple of weeks. Obviously, you guys have been doing a lot of work in the previous years here in the Black Hills, but things are obviously a little bit different. Bonnie, I'll start with you. What are some of the things that you have seen differently over the last couple of weeks being with consumer credit counseling?
What we know, Brent, is that a number of people that have never experienced financial difficulties are going through them right now. People who, at no fault of their own, are struggling. And because they've never been in this situation, they really don't know what to do. Now, while our agency doesn't have direct financial assistance, it's when you've used up your financial assistance or don't qualify for financial assistance that we can assist them in developing a plan to figure out how to manage their finances.
Okay, so that's a big deal. So it's just people that have really never experienced this before, like, wow, you know, who do I even call? Where do I even go? I'm worried about my credit score. Maybe I'm having trouble paying my rent. So those are kind of some of the questions that people are having, newbies, we'll call them.
Exactly. And one of the things that we need to make sure that people understand in the Black Hills community that we have a critical shortage of affordable housing. So keeping your mortgage and your rent current, it needs to be your priority at this point.
Wow, that's good information. Thank you, Bonnie. Jamie, obviously you guys with United Way, the Black Hills have a lot of different areas that you guys work with. But as far as financial assistance goes, what's that kind of looked like over the last couple of weeks? Or what kind of questions maybe have you guys been getting lately?
Yeah, so once the pandemic started, there has been a large network of nonprofits and local government and community leaders who've been meeting weekly to stay in touch, to identify what are the most urgent pressing needs and how can we get resources to those needs. And it was interesting because you could almost see how it flowed when the pandemic first kind of hit, and we haven't had as many cases as other areas, thank goodness. But economically, there's been a big impact. And so we saw, the first wave, there was a really big push of needing to get food out there to families and those in need. And we heard that during our first panel a couple of weeks ago. But what we've seen over the last couple of weeks is a real shift into people now recognizing bills are starting to come in, and so needing economic assistance. So we have our grant opportunity out there right now for any nonprofits that are providing relief because of the pandemic and seeing an increase in need. And what we're seeing is those grants are starting to come in looking at more economic assistance. And it's a variety of nonprofits that are providing it. So, groups like Salvation Army, who've always provided economic assistance and are continuing to do that for the entire Black Hills community. But then there's others like the Club for Boys that you might not have thought of, but because their services are closed right now, they're still trying to support their families. And so in addition to providing some educational activities and things for the boys that are their participants to do, they're also providing economic assistance for those families because they know that they're struggling. So we're just seeing a lot of those types of opportunities come up that we are trying to fund as best we can.
Jamie, thank you. And skipping right to Brenda here, it's kind of being two-parter because I was going to ask, what some of the struggles you've been seeing, but we also already have questions for you from folks on Facebook here. Julia Lynn was asking, can you still get help from Health and Human Services if you don't have a job due to COVID-19? So they're just unemployed. They don't have COVID-19, but they're just unemployed with a motel room. Is that something that would be within the realm for you guys?
Absolutely. Definitely call our office. We're working with people on an individual, case by case basis to try to keep people housed. That is our main goal, is to keep people housed, keep their utilities on, make sure they have access to food, those type of things. So absolutely.
Awesome. And then I guess a two-parter question there. What are some of the questions that you have seen with that, besides just on a case-by-case basis, what are some of the broader questions that you've seen developed over the last couple of weeks that you want to let people know about?
Just the fact that so Health and Human Services like Salvation Army, other helping agencies have existed for quite some time in Rapid. And we've had the same rules for quite a long time. So just to let people know that even if you have access to Health and Human Services, or you don't know about Health and Human Services or Salvation Army, Catholic Social Services, all of our partners, feel free to reach out, call our office, call 211, get that information, because some things have changed and there's grant funds, things that we can do. We just try to help people get through this.
And Tara, you had something you wanted to add to this, Volunteers of America.
Yes, absolutely. I think what we have been focused on is helping those who have a need to navigate the system, because it can be quite intimidating to know what door to knock on. Do I go to Pennington County Health and Human Services? Do I knock on the door of Salvation Army? So I wanted people to know that one of our initiatives as a community has been to streamline the point of entry for this type of call. So for housing assistance, Pennington County Health and Human Services has offered to serve that function. If there's anyone out there that has their scenario and just needs to run it by somebody who can send them in the right direction, contact Brenda and her team at Pennington County, and they will point you towards VOA, Salvation Army, and these other resources that are available. We were very adamant to want to equip with all of the social service organizations with the information that they would need to connect their clientele to these resources. So if there happens to be a provider listening, we created a case management toolkit that can be accessed that has lists of COVID-related support, whether it is directly financial assistance, but in some cases it may be helping their budget by offsetting the cost of food through the food insecurity resources. And as always, 211 is a huge help in helping to navigate that as well. But I think more specific scenario types of questions can go directly to Pennington County. I would say VOA is attempting to then serve for the community as a entry point for homeless services. And we can talk more about that later, but we're hoping that that will help the community to avoid the frustration. So I plead, don't give up on the system. You know, keep trying as we're all trying to navigate this, because it is a moving target. Every day new resources come up. There's new service providers in the mix. And so we just ask for patience, but also know we're attempting to streamline that for everyone's convenience.
Tara, thank you. So basically, if I don't even know where to start. I need 3 different things, but they're going to come from different directions. 211 is a starting point. I'm getting a lot of nodding heads. 211 is a great starting point to point you in the right direction. So use that helpline. David, I wanted to get right with you here. Tell me a little bit of some of the things you've been hearing about with Western South Dakota Community Action Agency. What are some of the questions that you've gotten, and what are some of those struggles that you've seen from folks out there in the last couple of weeks?
I guess it's a misnomer that we're a federal agency. We're federally funded.
Sure.
So with the new CARES Act implementation for funds coming down in lieu of the COVID situation, we will be receiving funds for that. We just got the allocation amount the other day. We kind of knew what it would be about. And also community action agencies across the country have received funding. There's over 1,100 that cover every county in the United States. So the specific funding that we're getting is under the Community Service Block Grant, which allows us the flexibility to serve a multiple of things in our community. So for us, we're really being a part of a lot of different community group meetings weekly. Right now, we're doing a Survey Monkey for needs assessments for individuals for all the counties that we serve here in the Western South Dakota region to develop programs. So childcare, that's a big one, right? It's COVID related. So we're looking to see how we can supplement people's costs for having to take care of their kids during this particular crisis. We are still developing these programs as we're talking right now. We're looking to implement a lot of different things that we don't normally do in lieu of kind of serving the people right now in need. So talking to a lot of people, Brenda, emailing Barry all the time, you need this, you need that, you know. So for me, looking at not only what we can do, but how we can collaborate with other existing agencies, because we don't want to reinvent the wheel for anybody. We just want to help supplement sometimes what's kind of going on, what we see the greatest need to be. So we don't normally do a lot of rent and mortgage, but we will be doing some rent and mortgage assistance, so that will be another program area that we're looking to implement. For bonding, we've done like the IDA accounts with you guys, so now we're trying to do a form of IDA account for people who might need some automobile assistance, so all that type of stuff. We do a lot of medical needs for people. So now we're looking to do maybe some mental health medical assistance programming to help people for various ways to circumvent and having to pay for certain things that they normally couldn't afford to pay for. So a combination of kind of doing a lot of different things is kind of what we're trying to do right now. But hopefully we'll have more information out within the next few weeks of kind of what we're going to be doing and where we're going to be starting.
So a lot of what I'm hearing, so if I'm listening to this and I'm a small group that does as maybe a little bit of charity work in the Black Hills, but I want to collaborate with maybe some other groups or have a central point to talk to, perhaps Community Action Agency is that place to start. Am I hearing that correctly?
Correctly. And we don't have the answers for everyone. We don't. So the 211 is the best way if someone has an immediate need, for housing, something to that degree. But they can definitely call us, and if we are able to help them or direct them in the path, we'll most fortunately do that. I think the biggest thing that what people know us for is for food. You've already had a food meeting. We're still delivering food. We have never stopped delivering food. We also do taxes. With the influx now of people receiving checks through the COVID situation, through the CARES Act, we stopped conducting taxes just in lieu of our safety procedures here a couple of weeks ago, but we're still up and running and trying to get people the information for filling out their taxes. So we're still seeing people in our office, and we will resume that if anything changes here within our local area as far as the doors being open for small businesses and things like that. So we will resume the tax services moving forward if possible.
David, thank you. Jamie, you had something to add to that.
Well, just in your comment about if you're like a small nonprofit or a group that wants to get involved, as you've probably already gathered from our conversation, there's a lot of collaboration happening behind the scenes in the Black Hills especially, but even in Western South Dakota. And so, reach out to any of us here on the panel or 211 if you want to get involved and want to help, because I can almost guarantee that there is already a group that's kind of pulled together to look at those urgent needs, be it food or homelessness or childcare or whatever those might be. And we'd love to have you be a part of that. So that's a little bit different. That's for organizations, not necessarily individuals who need assistance, but I wanted to mention that.
Jamie, thank you. We have a question from Noah. Is there a direct assistance for families needing laptops specifically, or other essentials? Now, this is kind of going into the education territory. We talked a little bit about this last week, but Jamie, I'll direct it to you. And if you want to kind of point this in the right direction. So if you have a family needing laptops and other essentials to meet their children's educational needs, I know, once again, this goes along with financial needs. Is there somewhere they can start?
Yeah, so a lot of the school districts have stepped up and made technology available. So I would say start with contacting your local school district to see if they have laptops available for you. And then there's also internet service providers have some great discounts right now and some specials for families of kids who are in school. So you can get a discount on the internet side. If you are there's a lot of work happening right now with adult education and making sure they also have technology. I know we've been having conversations with a lot of the local colleges and universities, Career Learning Center, to look at how we can help. And they've all started some funds and resources for their students. And then I would say if you're still struggling, if you've talked to your school district and they don't have that resource, reach out to 211 and they can point you to some others who might be able to help.
Jamie, thank you. David, looks like we have a question here for you. So Julia Lynn was asking, so Community Action Program, does that help with filing your taxes for free? She was wanting to confirm that.
Yes, it does. We basically just ask for, proof of income for the last 30 days and you set up an appointment to come in and speak with our tax professionals here, but it is free.
Awesome, thank you. And then Brenda, I'll direct this one to you. Is there an income limit for financial assistance?
So we have several different funds that we can assist folks through. Our regular Pennington County economic assistance, as we call it, that has some guidelines to it. But we also have different grant funds, basically whatever we can get. So they each have their own guidelines. So if a person wants to call, even the gals that answer the phone or caseworkers, somebody can talk with them and see where they would fall into.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. We have one more question. Is there a place that will assist with the family if they are trying to work from home? They don't have the ability yet, but they're trying to work from home and they're not quite sure how to move that forward, whether it be financially or just in a practical sense. Jamie, I'll direct that one to you as well if you want to point that in the right direction there. Maybe that's a 2-on-1 situation.
Yeah, without knowing a little bit more of the specifics, like what are they searching for, kind of resources on how to manage that, or like physical, like technology needs? I would say probably 2-on-1 might be the best start. That way you can let whom you talk to know the details, and then they can point you to the right direction. There are a lot of resources out there on, how to set up a place at home, that work-life balance, mental wellness, put a little plug in for next Friday's talk, so looking at it from that aspect, but then yeah, getting the technology needs. I would say 2-on-1 maybe is a great place to start.
Okay, awesome. Bonnie, I wanted to pose this question to you, just as, a lot of people are finding themselves in a situation where I had a fixed income, I had bills I was paying, and yeah, I'm getting a little bit of assistance, but boy, I'm kind of stuck in a rut now. I have a fixed income and I've, my pay's been docked by 30%, or, the income's just not there anymore. What are some things, who should I contact, maybe at the state or federal level, like, hey, I'm not able to get these bills done, or, what are some of the first steps people should take if they find themselves in that situation?
One of the first things people have to do, they really have to sit down and say, what money do I have coming in? Okay, because they need to know what resources they have. Then they should contact all of the resource providers you have on your panel, because now is the time, even though you've never been in this situation before, to take advantage of those resources so that you can have the money for your rent or your mortgage. Again, that's a priority. So once you have your priorities taken care of, then we can talk about what are the other issues that you're concerned with. Again, to call us is free of charge, and we work, by the telephone or online, but we can help people answer a lot of questions that they have, specifically about if they're worried about one particular type of bill or all of their bills. If you've never been in this situation, take advantage of the resources the community is offering, because it's very important.
So thing I'm hearing here is that as soon as you find out that, like, I need to make sure I have this taken care of, call someone, find out immediately. Don't wait a week. Don't wait until the money's already gone to ask. Make sure that you're finding that out as soon as possible, getting that information and checking that out.
That's exactly right. Yes.
And Tara, could you talk a little bit about utility assistance? That's been kind of a question. I think you brought that question up. I think that's a great starting point. A lot of people are asking about that. What can people do?
Well, actually, you need to start with contacting your utility provider directly. A lot of them have implemented within the first week of COVID impact opportunities to accommodate delays in payment and some types of moratoriums in place. And so you need to reach out and inquire to get that into place. It automatically will not go into effect unless you reach out and initiate. So I think that there's almost every utility company in town has some type of a program in place to offset that expense. So I think that's what people need to look at doing, is what are the expenses that I have that maybe I need to retain the bulk of my income for my housing, which ironically in Rapid City especially is significantly high. Majority of people spend 50% or more of their income on just their housing alone, which average should be 30%. So then you add COVID to the mix and it strains us that much more. I did want to mention on that note that there are a lot of rapid rehousing programs that have financial assistance that help people to move from a housing scenario that's really expensive to one that is more appropriate for their budget and can help them with that process of the expenses involved with the new deposit and the search for new housing so that they can find housing that may be more aligned with their current income level. And this is where I think case managers are critical at these social service agencies. And so if you need help navigating all of these options, try to see if there's a case manager available through one of the community service providers, whether it's Lutheran Social Services, Catholic Social Services, VOA. I know Salvation Army and CAP also have them as well. And they can guide you through all of these steps.
Perfect. And by the way, for everyone that's tuning in right now, if you're tuning in on Facebook Live, if you have questions, put it in the comments section. We're literally doing this rapid fire here, getting these questions out to these panelists and making sure that your questions are answered. And if you have a question, you're watching on TV, you're like, well, I want to know where to find these resources. They're on these websites. You can make sure you can go to the News Center 1 website. We're going to have nc1.tv. We'll have that information up there as well. Or if you're like, I don't even know how to start there, 211. You can call 211. It will direct you where you need to go based upon what you are looking for. I have a question from Rena. It's this may be for Brenda here. Will reemployment be backdated since the process is taking longer than usual to get approved?
Well, I believe so. Once again, I don't work for the Department of Labor,
right?
But
Yes.
I think that what I've read on their website that it's backdated to the date that you file. So checking their website would be the best method to find that out.
So, okay. So in that case, we have a lot of people with questions for the Department of Labor here. Mm-hmm. And so that's who you'd want to go through for those questions about unemployment, employment. But once again, 211, they'll get you to where you need to go. If you ask them, and they'll get you to the resources that you need. So I want to go ahead and kind of branch out here. I think this is going to be very simple, but Jamie, if someone wants to help families in financials, like, hey, I want to help, where am I directing those resources? How can I allocate that?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways to help. First and foremost, you think financially, which is extremely important, especially during these trying times. We've been talking to many of our nonprofit agencies and others in the community, and some are seeing a 200 to 300% increase in demand for their services because of COVID-related things. So there is a need for financial help out there. We have our COVID fund that you can go to unitedwayofthebblackhills.org and then click on the coronavirus page, and it'll take you to see information about our fund, of which if you donate, 100% is going out to grants to nonprofits, and we've started to give those grants out. We've given out $80,000 so far to various nonprofits who are seeing that increase in services. But then every single entity, every single nonprofit does have a way to give. And so if there's something you are particularly passionate about, reach out to them. I'd also like people to not forget it's not just about financial assistance though. So many of our nonprofits and others needed volunteer help to accomplish their work before. That hasn't changed. And most of them, if not all of them, have changed up their processes and procedures to work within new health and safety guidelines with COVID. And so, reaching out to see how you can help if you can't financially, possibly through your time and your talent. And then of course, giving blood, we know blood donations are down because of COVID. And so that's another way that people can just take a moment to help their community.
And Bonnie, you had something you wanted to input.
Yes, the Career Learning Center is offering Financial Fridays on their Facebook Live. And tomorrow, Kevin from the Department of Labor is going to be their speaker. So that would be a great time to ask him questions.
Oh, That's good. Okay, so do you know what time that's going to be tomorrow?
12 o'clock noon.
Okay, so Department of Labor questions, live you had them, 12 o'clock noon, Facebook Live with the
Career Learning Center.
Career Learning Center. Thank you. Or if you want to find out today, you call 211. You're going to hear me say that about 10,000 times today, but it's just, it's such a useful tool to get the resources that you're looking for in a timely manner. So I have an interesting question for David. Lauren wants to know, have you seen an increase for garden kits? This is something that I have not heard, but so garden kits, do you?
We normally provide garden kits through our normal programming. I don't know if we've got an increase in that or not. We are actually putting those together as we speak. Like if I walk out my door, I'll see a bunch of garden kits, you know, on the counters. But yeah, I don't know if we have an increase in garden kits. We have an increase in food. I can tell you that. I mean, more people are coming to us. We normally provide monthly meals for seniors, disabled, and normally commodity boxes. And we've seen a rash of people coming to our office for food. So the garden kits actually, I mean, people can apply for that. You know, I mean, that's not anything that's not abnormal right now. So that's normal of our normal program delivery programming. So.
Awesome. That's awesome. So someone brought up that question. So a lot of different ways that, you know, getting creative in how you're providing assistance for folks. Brenda, I kind of wanted to turn this to you. For folks that are wanting to find out information from you guys, what are some of the things that you would like them to have ready that would make them perfect candidates if they have, you know, A, B, and C ready to go, to information to give you guys to help them out?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're all working from home now, as you can probably see behind me. So we're basically relying on any kind of electronic means to get information to us. And we do realize that sometimes that's just not going to be an option. So the things we mainly require are if folks can get us ID, social security card, if you've got a letter showing that you have applied for unemployment, you have a confirmation number, couple of your last pay stubs, those types of things, something to give us a general picture of your current situation. And we, like I said, we've worked wonderfully with landlords, with friends, family, anybody that can assist folks in getting that information to us. And by all means, that's not, don't think that's a deterrent. If you can't get that information in, we'll figure out a way to work it out.
So what I'm hearing is you have nothing to lose by giving you a call and seeing what options are available.
Absolutely.
And Tara, you had something to add to that as well.
Just to complement that, we've seen an increase in the calls for assistance with transferring documents digitally. And VOA just wanted to offer up our availability to transmit those documents to where they need to go. So we have that faxing capability at 111 New York Street.
Awesome. Bonnie, you had a quick input.
Yes, if I could get my days correct, Kevin with the Department of Labor is the speaker today at noon on the Career Learning Center Facebook Live.
Okay, so that Department of Labor Facebook Live with Career Services is going to be, yes, is going to be at noon today.
Yes.
Okay, sounds like some good information that you want to tune in for on that. Let's see. So, okay, yep, that was the question. Can Bonnie clarify which day? Okay, so that's going to be on for today. Once again, I'm going to say it again. If you have questions and you're like, well, I didn't get it from this live, or, you know, I went to this website, wasn't quite there, 211. 211. Give them a call. They'll get you into the right direction here. I'm going to go ahead and pose the same question to you, Tara, that I posed to Brenda. If they're looking for assistance from you guys, what's some information that's helpful right up front that helps you guys get that process moving along quicker?
I would say exactly what she said, a form of ID, and also something that describes your current situation or supports that, especially if you are in a situation where you're needing to pay in arrears. So if you're behind on your rent, if you're behind on your utilities and you need to bring those up to par, we need to have those notices, or even an eviction notice if that is relevant in the case. So some type of a letter identifying the scenario.
Okay, awesome. And David, looks like you have something to add to that.
Yeah, with the COVID-19 funding, the qualifications for people receiving services might change. So in social service kind of area, we throw out these weird acronyms of percentage of poverty and all that type of stuff that doesn't make sense to someone walking down the street. So typically, we use parameters to elevate as far as people getting certain services. So percentage of poverty is a qualification for people receiving services through us and a lot of different organizations. With the COVID situation, hopefully it's going to go up. This is a mandate from the federal government, but each state has the opportunity to change that. So currently we operate at 125% of poverty for a lot of our programs, which if you want to look at it for a person of one, it's like around $15,000 a year. We're hoping that we can get it up to 200% of poverty. So I'm not really good with charts, I always have to look over. So that would go up to like around $24,000 a year for someone receiving services, which will be very beneficial. And also I want to stress too is that what people are going through now, the ripple effects of this will go down for months. So just because we help you right now does not mean you cannot receive services 3 or 4 months from now. And all indications that we're going to be faced with this type of situation in the fall. So we're trying to make sure that we have programming that's going to be sustainable throughout the course of the next year or so, because a lot of things that will happen right now might happen again. Business being closed, schools being closed. So we have to take for granted that the programs that we're generating right now, we have to say, okay, what are we using as a measurement of helping people and making sure that if we're not meeting those targets, that we can meet those targets down the road when this situation might reoccur. Just wanted to throw that out there.
That's excellent. That's an excellent point. This is a changing situation, so qualifications might change. What I'm hearing here is the same thing we were talking about with Brenda, is that there's no harm in finding out, calling and finding out, and asking, instead of wondering if maybe it would have worked and not calling at all, finding out what that assistance looks like. And Bonnie, you had something to add as well.
I would like to add that it's important to find out if you qualify for assistance by contacting all of these individuals, because when a provider says they'll defer your payment, that doesn't mean you don't make it. That means if you don't make a payment this month, next month 2 payments are due. So if you can get energy assistance or any kind of assistance, it's far better than just a deferral.
And Bonnie, I actually have a very specific question, and I've gotten this question a little bit in bits and pieces. You may be able to answer it or not. So let's say I have retirement, put aside, or a 401k, and, my actual cash that I have in, my savings is, I don't have a lot. And boy, I'm going to really have to maybe start taking out of my 401k right now, which there's big penalties for doing that. God, is there any way to get around that? Or is there a way where you can is there some kind of program where I can take it out because of an emergency situation and not pay these huge penalties? Or is it something you just want to avoid as much as possible?
First, I would add, Brent, it all depends on your age. Because if you're going to withdraw money and you're in your 50s on up, you need to think twice, because it's really almost impossible to put that money back. And what will you have to live on when you retire? The second thing I want to remind people is your retirement. If you end up in a very difficult situation and end up in bankruptcy, your retirement is yours to keep. There are very few assets you get to keep. That would be one you get to keep. So you need to think twice about pulling money out of retirement. However, now if you're younger and you're thinking about it, supposedly there aren't going to be penalties. Now, if you withdraw during the COVID time, that's something you'd want to check with a financial professional, a planner in that respect. But just think twice about pulling that money out.
Okay, so regardless if you're young or old, kind of make sure, especially if you're older, do everything you can to leave that alone. Use other resources. And if you're younger, okay, maybe a little bit more of an option, but you still, if you don't have to, leave it be.
Right. See if you qualify for other resources before you start pulling money out of retirement. Okay.
Yeah, because it's an easy thing when you're looking at it. Oh, it's just right there. I can just, then I won't have to make all these calls. Make the calls, get the resources, do what you can to leave that there, because that'll be there for you after this is all done. You'll be thankful that you had left that in there if you can.
And while you might not have to pay the penalty, you will still pay tax on money you withdraw from retirement.
That is a big deal. Thank you for that. That was a question that was posed to me. I'm like, that's a really good question. I wonder if they suggest that you do that or not. So as far as someone who wants to help financially, this is going to sound strange, but this is really what goes through someone like my head. My head here is, I want to help. I don't have, a whole lot of financial assets to help out, but I do have my hands and I do have time, and I want to help people out. Jamie, I'll kind of leave that to you there. What can someone like me do who has time in their hand, maybe not financial resources, but I'm ready to go?
Great question. So we've mentioned 211 has a lot of resources. They also are keeping track of volunteer opportunities. They normally do that, but even amidst COVID, and there's a lot of them out there. So you think of organizations like Meals on Wheels and Feeding South Dakota, who are seeing tremendous increases in the need for their services. And so they need volunteers, and they're ones that have changed their process to make sure it's safe and healthy for volunteers, but they're so needed for that. Things like masks. We know that there's such a great demand for handmade masks. And so, there's a lot of opportunities to sew those at home and then donate them to local health organizations, but also people might not think of like our childcare centers that are open serving essential workers. They need masks, and they need masks of different sizes, not just adult, but they need kids masks as well. We know that if you go into the court system, that you need to wear masks. And so you think of like our CASA volunteers, things like that. So, there's other groups as well who need some of these supplies. So 211 is also keeping track of those volunteer needs and opportunities. So that's another great place to start for that too.
And real quickly to add to that, let's say I have a garage full of clothes and I just want to donate those clothes. Why is it so much better to donate financially than to donate stuff in this kind of situation? Just to, get stuff out of my garage per se. Why is it better to just give financial assistance?
A great question, because actually when the pandemic really started, we took a hard look at doing supply drives because we knew, people needed toilet paper, people needed certain things. But in talking to different organizations, and especially Richard with Red Cross, who, we know in disasters, this is what they deal with all the time. What we've learned is a couple of things. One, the needs change so quickly. And by the time you do a supply drive for something, you might not even need that anymore for organizations. They're on to the next thing. Second, when you need things that all of us need, so things like toilet paper or cleaning supplies, when the general public needs it, there's not even any to buy to donate to a supply drive. And then third, and one of the most important ones, and I might even turn this to Tara to mention, but there's value in when you buy in bulk. And so instead of having everybody just go buy from the store and donate their diapers, for example, when you donate funding, then somebody like Volunteers of America with their diaper bank can work to get diapers in bulk and get a much better value and get more for the money. I don't know, Tara, if you want to say anything about that, because I know we're working on that now.
Yes, we are. So, emergency resources is something else that we provide, and Mommy's Closet has diapers and clothing for families. We've narrowed that down to diapers at this point, but the challenge is finding the availability of the diapers to redistribute to individuals. So a lot of them are coming to us to help offset their budget by having a supply of diapers provided through us. But we have recently lost some of the purchasing power involved in that. And if you go to Sam's Club, you're allowed one box, just as any individual would be. So as a provider of emergency resources, we're held accountable to the same limitations as an individual would. And so what we're also trying to do as a community is to really tap into some of the vendors locally to see how they can help us give access to large bulk supplies that we can then use to redistribute to individuals to offset their budget. So I do want to say a kudos to just the corporate world here, because they were reaching out even the very first week of COVID, offering to help with drives, offering to help partner and to contribute to the supplies that individuals needed. And so I think we are very blessed to have that community mindset.
That's fantastic. Yeah, well, that's fantastic. So in that sense, it makes a lot of sense then financially. You know, $10 might go farther than, you know, going to the store, buying 50 diapers, and then the diapers sit on the pallet somewhere, then the pallet's got to be transferred somewhere by truck. So that makes sense in that way. So it looks like things are relatively wrapping up here. What I want to do is give each person a chance real quickly to just any last mentions to folks out there about you know, what you guys do, and you know, just last thoughts on this. Once again, this is not the end of a discussion. We're just starting it, but just to give you guys a last chance to put forward any information or assistance that you guys know. Bonnie, we'll start with you.
Just a reminder that no matter how frustrating things get, this won't last forever. And just because you can't see a path right now doesn't mean there isn't one. So contact as many organizations as you need to keep your family housed, keep your utilities on, keep your transportation going.
Brenda?
Yeah, same thing as Bonnie said. We're here to help. Don't hesitate to call. I know that call sometimes is a bit nerve-wracking, makes your situation a little more real, but we're here to help and get everybody through it.
David, we'll toss things to you.
Yes, I want to thank you for allowing us this opportunity to be here to collectively say kind of what's going on, especially from the arenas that we serve. So I want to show my appreciation to that. Please, if you have an opportunity, look at our website, Western South Dakota Community Action Agency.org. Please, if you have the opportunity to fill out a survey for needs assessments for you or your household, please do that. That information will go on to some of the things we're looking to do here. So everyone stay safe.
And Tara, we'll throw things to you.
I just wanted to mention that, you know, we've been focusing very heavily on the local area. And I just want to emphasize too, that a number of our services go across all of West River, including Community Action and Volunteers of America. And so if you're listening from Spearfish or Belle Fourche, don't think that these are isolated resources for just the Rapid City area. Still reach out. And we've identified amongst ourselves who is best suited to serve each geographical region. But our real intent is just to bring more housing assistance funds here and realize it comes in every shape and size. So you have some funds that will be here after COVID. They were here before COVID. So you may have learned something today that you don't need right now, but you may need in the future, or you may know somebody else who may need them. So again, just be patient with the process and count your blessings.
Jamie, I'll let you anchor that.
Yeah, just to reiterate, there are a lot of new resources. So if you've tried to work with the system before and ran into roadblocks, don't feel like that doesn't mean you can't reach out to any of these partners, because there are new resources. And if you're new to needing these types of resources, don't feel bad. We are all here to help you. And there's just an amazing group of nonprofits. This is just a little tiny snapshot of so many different organizations and people behind the scenes working so very hard to make sure that the individuals and the families in our community as a whole get through this, and we will, like Bonnie said.
Well, we are very proud to host all of you and to bring you guys to the forefront here. You guys have critical information, and we're going to continue this discussion. Once again, this is not the end of a discussion. We are continuing this discussion of moving forward. For all this information, you can go to newsnc1.tv. This information is going to be on our website, or you can go and check out the individual websites of the folks up here on this panel. If you have questions, once again, 211. I'm going to beat the drum on that until the stick is broken. 211. If you have questions on all of this, guys, make sure to join us again. We're going to be talking about some of these same issues again next week. But if you have questions about for anyone on this panel, I'm sure that the websites are up and running. The websites haven't gone away. Make sure you are tuning into that. And thanks everyone for joining. And we're going to be continuing this discussion moving forward. Have a wonderful day, everyone.